being publicly noticed. The meeting has been posted and noticed according to law. Thank you. Two reminders. First is to speak into your microphone so that the video can pick up your voice, both anyone that does comment from the public and board members. Secondly, please address the chair when you're giving your comments, or the floor, but not to a single person. That helps to keep order in the courtroom. And then thirdly, I guess there's three, our clerk has created a new sign-up sheet for anyone from the public that would like to comment on any of the topics that are on the agenda or off the agenda. And so tonight we're just introducing the concept, but if you come back another day, just remember to fill out the comment form today. I'll just recognize people by hand, but just to let you know where they're located.
Outside of the door when you enter the courtroom.
Okay, and usually they're probably, I think they're not necessary, but if we ever have a controversial topic, then it does help keep everybody's comments heard and on track. So those are the announcements for today. I will go ahead and start the agenda with number 4, special order of business. We have Rebecca Kiefer from the Buckeye County Circuit Judge, Branch 29 here to speak with us.
Hello.
Hi there.
Just come to the podium.
Just your name and address.
I'm Rebecca Kiefer. I am a resident of Fox Point, Wisconsin, and I am a candidate for Milwaukee County Circuit Court, Branch 29. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board here today and through you, the people of Shorewood. I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me and who I am. I'm a wife and a mom of 2 young kids, ages 5 and 7. I grew up north of Milwaukee in Sheboygan Falls and attended the University of Minnesota in the Twin Cities, where I received a degree in biology. That's the only time I've ever lived outside of Wisconsin, was when I went to the Twin Cities for my undergrad. I moved to Milwaukee in 2000 to attend Marquette University Law School. I graduated from there in 2003. After that, I worked in private practice at Kiefer Law Office in Kewauskan, Wisconsin. And after that, I went to work at the District Attorney's Office here in Milwaukee County in April of 2004. And that's where I work still today. I've worked over the past 15 years in both the criminal and juvenile divisions of Milwaukee County Circuit Court. I'm currently the team captain of the only unit in the DA's office that focuses solely on civil and appellate litigation. I have extensive trial and appellate experience and have argued in front of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I work to help children who are in foster care and unable to otherwise return home exit foster care through adoption or transfer of guardianship in the homes where they live. This work that I do every day has a real and significant impact in the lives of the most vulnerable citizens of Milwaukee County. At the end of my cases, no one goes to jail or prison, no fines or settlements are allotted, but rather a family is formed and a child exits foster care. I am and will continue to be a collaborative leader looking for innovation. I'm a strong supporter of our treatment courts, diversion, and early intervention programs that are already active here in Milwaukee County. I'm deeply concerned with keeping our community safe, and I'm also insistent on equity and equality. Judges can follow the law while at the same time help our community become stronger. Milwaukee County needs judges who are independent and nonpartisan, who fairly apply the law, respect the needs of kids and victims, and treat everyone with respect. I intend to be that kind of judge. I encourage the people of Shorewood to be in touch, and I look forward to earning your support and your vote on April 7th of 2020. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have. My website is at kieferforjudge.com, and I'm also on social media at kieferforjudge. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the judge today?
Who's the current judge in that circuit, Branch 29?
So there was somebody appointed by Walker in Christmas time, December of last year. That's Judge Dan Gatler in Branch 29.
Trustee Meyer stole my question.
Okay. Any further? If not, thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, so the next special order of business is for B, the Village of Whitefish Bay Storm Sewer Extension Request. Who's this at committee?
Good evening. The request memo was included in your packet. Staff also added a cover memo and some additional information. Excuse me. My counterpart from Whitefish Bay, John Edelbeck, is here to answer any questions, should you have any. But please feel free, unless you'd like us to review in concept the request.
I only had one. Does anyone have any questions? Trustee Mento.
A question. There was a resident who contacted me at some point, and he was, I think he's a Shorewood resident, but in that area, but he's actually hooked into Whitefish Bay. Oh, he was asking for the lining, right? The lateral lining.
That it's a
But he's
different.
But I know, but that person is actually in Whitefish Bay, correct?
No, Mr. Wolverson is a Shorewood resident.
I know he's a Shorewood resident, but his sewer is connecting into the Whitefish Bay, not ours.
Correct.
Okay.
That's sanitary sewer. This request relates to storm sewer.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify on that. Okay, sorry.
That was my question too. The memo had mentioned that there was going to be some sort of sorting this out through MSD, and then that hasn't happened yet. Something like that, where
No. The memo referenced a planned third phase of the Basin 6 sewer improvement projects. Phase 1 was constructed in 2012, Phase 2 in 2014. Phase 3 was indefinitely deferred, as at the time the village board determined that that was not a priority need for sewer funding. So the planned sewer improvements that were identified in the facility plan the planned storm sewer improvements were not constructed.
are they still in the plan?
They're in the facility plan, but they are not planned for construction.
Next time we do long-range planning, just remind me of that. It's okay. So it reads there's 20 altogether Whitefish Bay. Do we have residents, as Trustee Menta said, that are going to be asking the same thing because they're down?
No, so very basically, in the area of this block of Wildwood that we're talking about, Shorewood storm sewer extends to approximately the municipal boundary. For the remainder of the block, there is no storm sewer. Whitefish Bay doesn't have storm sewer on that block within their municipal limits, but the water generally drains to the south. So any overland stormwater that's flowing is getting picked up in Shorewood's storm system. What they're specifically asking is the ability to extend from our system something similar to what we call a terrace drain, which would be a small PVC storm sewer that would allow for direct connection of sump pump discharges. So there's 3 to 5 homes on that block that have excessive sump pump discharges that currently are discharged overland, flows over their yard, onto sidewalks, onto roads. That creates nuisance conditions in both the winter and the summertime. What they're asking for is to connect those directly into our storm system by a pipe that's below grade.
And pay for that.
Correct.
Great. Trustee Hager?
And your feeling is that this would not have an adverse impact to the feasibility of the storm sewer in that area?
If the request is for 3 to 5 properties, if the board approves connection at a maximum of those 5 identified properties, then staff doesn't have any concerns.
I personally would support it. I used to live in the 4500 block of Wildwood, walk my dog over those skating rinks. That would be great.
Trustee Warner?
Yeah, given your presentation and the answers to the questions, I would support this as well, and I'm ready to make a motion. I would move to approve the Village of Whitefish Bay request to extend the Village of Shorewood public storm sewer on North Wildwood Avenue into the Village of Whitefish Bay for use as a storm sewer sump pump collection main with a maximum connection of 5 properties as previously identified.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Trustee Warren and a second by Trustee Bachhorst. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Leah. Good luck with your...
Yep, thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate it. I've got work to do now.
Next special order of business is for C, considered water meter infrastructure project vendor recommendation meeting number 8. Leanne?
So
Did this go to committee?
did not. I'm going to turn it over to Tom Nenning from City Water in a moment. We have a couple of other people here tonight also. I'm going to let Tom introduce those. them, excuse me. And then get out of the way for now.
Thank you very much, Diane. Good evening, everybody. With me tonight I have, well, there's Dave Coombs in the background. He's our utility foreman here in the village. And then Steve Dowser from Midwest Meter is a representative as well. So in your packets is our kind of a synopsis of what has happened since the last time that we've been here, talking about the meter replacement program. I'll just kind of run through a couple of different items since the last time that we were here. We were here to...
And Tom, your role in this was project manager, correct?
Correct, yes. I was project manager from City Water for the project. So the last time that we were here, we were discussing the RFP for the AMI project. Since that time, that RFP went out onto the streets. We assembled an evaluation team that would evaluate the RFPs when they came back. That evaluation team was from a number of members of the village staff here, village manager. We also had Trustee Maher was on our evaluation team, and Dave, and then Joel Colsey, also the Assistant Director of Public Works. So we had a nice, and also Mark Emanuelson, sorry, Mark, forgot that was also on there. So we had a nice variety of staff here in the village to evaluate the proposals. The proposals came in, and these are the proposals that came in, all in the box there. We received seven of them. There was a lot of reading, I would agree. Of the 7 that we received, those 7 vendors submitted solutions for an AMI system. 5 of them also submitted a solution for AMR. So 2 of them did not have an AMR system because they don't manufacture one. So once the proposals came in, the evaluation team read them all, rated them, and then we got back together again to discuss each one of the proposals to rank them. And that's the evaluation matrix that I think is in your packet. We had a number of discussions on what they liked and didn't like about each vendor's team. Remember, we're looking for one complete solution. So meters, the reading system, and then installation as well. From the evaluation, we determined there were 2 vendors that we wanted to shortlist to bring in for interviews. And so we did bring in 2 vendors with their AMI solution to have them give us a presentation on their system. Not only on their meters, but then on their read system, which was the majority of it, but then also on the installation side. They brought in their installation contractors. Once we went through the interviews, the evaluation team got together again, discussed the interviews, and then would re-rank the 2 vendors, but pretty much just confirmed our initial ranking where we had the Midwest Meter Eau Claire team ranked number 1 and the Corner Main team ranked number 2. Our interview process kind of confirmed that ranking. We really liked the Midwest Meter solution that they brought to the table.
And for the rankings, I'm sorry, was it like a chart based on their key criteria?
Correct, yeah. So we had, I think it was 5 or 6 different items that we evaluated and then ranked them each individually and then came up with an overall matrix, and that's how we determined it was first through 7 seed, I guess, in the solutions. So once we determined that we really liked the Midwest Eau Claire system, we then started to talk about all those different options that were available to us. Did we want to upgrade the meters to a bronze body meter? Did we want to upgrade to a solid state meter, which is more of the new technology? And the evaluation team decided that they wanted to upgrade to a bronze meter as well. They liked the bronze positive displacement meter from Badger Meter. It's industry standard that has been around for decades. Very reliable, very accurate over the lifespan of the meter. The accuracy level for 25 years is guaranteed. And so we really like that a lot. The solid state meters, the new technology meters we liked, but there was, as you can see in the tables there was a upcharge for those. Sometimes up to a 25 to 30% upcharge. They claim to be better at low flow analysis and picking up a little bit lower flow rates. But at the end of the day, the evaluation team said it was just too much of an upcharge to go with those solid state meters. So we're recommending going with the Badger Meter positive displacement brass body meter with an analog register on it. So that solution does not have any batteries whatsoever, so we don't have to worry about a battery failure, and we don't have to worry about how do we dispose of these batteries at the end of the service life of the unit. Next thing we talked about was, again, that AMI system, what parts of the AMI system that we liked, that we wanted to keep. We really liked the Alclara One meter data management system. That was part of it. It was very user-friendly. We thought it was probably the easiest for a customer service representative to use in speaking with our customers, a field representative to use out in the field as well. So we're recommending the Alclara system for the AMI system as well. The next thing was the installation side of it. And again, the Midwest Meter team had Vanguard Installation Services. During their interview, they answered all the questions that we had, pretty much pertaining to the older housing stack that we have here in Shorewood. As you know, the homeowners are responsible for operation of the isolation valves that are downstream, on the street side of the meter, and then on the house side of the meter. We're going to have to close those valves in order to change out the meter, okay? And so we also know, I'm talking with Dave, and Dave could tell stories of those valves not being operable, being frozen, kind of in an open position, very hard to work. And so we talked a lot about, what are we going to do with this situation? The homeowner is responsible for that, but we're there to change the meter out. Now, we could go outside to the curb stop, right, which is a valve out in the right of way that's been there for a number of years that can be difficult to locate. Once we do locate it, it could be filled with debris. We can't get on it. Once we do get on it, if we can get on it, turning it is also another issue, and we could also increase the probability of breaking that valve, because that has happened before in the past. If we break that valve, then the village policy is to replace the whole service line if it's a lead service. So one of the things that the evaluation team developed was freezing a lateral. And so we felt, in talking with the installation contractor, they were very comfortable in freezing a lateral where if they had enough straight runoff pipe, they could freeze it, so that kind of ice it up, or they'd be able to take the meter out if those valves didn't work, put the new meter in, and then the homeowner would be given a letter that it is up to them to change their valves when they have to. So the reason that the evaluation team liked that idea was because we're there. One of the hardest things to do when we're on these projects is get into the home. So once we're into the home, we want to make the best effort to change that if possible. The cost for it was an upcharge of, I believe it was $85. So when we took a look at, okay, if an installation contractor can't close the valves, we don't want them to freeze it, and we can't get on the curb stop, it's going to get returned to the utility, then the utility staff is going to have to go out there and try and operate that curb stop if they've got to vacuum it out, suck it out to clean it out to get on it, if they need to dig up the curb stop box to find it. That's going to be a lot more than an $85 charge. And so we felt it was, and the contractor was very comfortable with it. We walked through all the procedures that they use. We felt very comfortable with their answers, and so we ended up putting in a contingency for freezing about 3% of the residential laterals in the village as part of the project. So during the evaluation team's discussion on who we like better on it as far as the installation team, they really did go with the Vanguard utility. They liked all the answers they gave. They also liked the fact that on their installation software, they have about 125 different key codes or values that they can put in when they're in the home to get information on the home as far as lateral size, the lateral material, which we now have to collect for PSC records, and then also some other things that would be helpful to the utility moving forward if the valves operated or didn't operate, things like that. So we really like their installation software package that at the end of the project would be turned over to the village staff in a database format that they could use moving forward. So our recommendation then was to go with the Vanguard utility service as our utility installers for the project. So that was the solution that Midwest Meter originally presented to us. Remember, I talked about we could mix and match along the way, but they presented an excellent holistic solution for the entire project. We really enjoyed, really liked the evaluation team, really liked their proposal a lot. So the last part of the process then was to take a look at the costs of the project.
Just in case. The upcharge for the 30% possible freezing laterals, $85 per house, is that in the form of a contingency? So if it's not used, it gets back to us, or is it just built into the cost, whether it's needed or not?
So, no, if it frees less than 30%, it comes back to you.
Okay,
Mhm. So the last thing that we did then was take a look at the life cycle cost of the solution that we like, and that being the positive displacement meters from Badger, and looking at the Alclara reed system and the freezing of the laterals. And so that was in your packet as well for our net present value. We compared the Alclara AMI system to the Core Main AMI system. And then we also compared it to the AMR solution that we identified was the best AMR solution presented to the committee as well, that the evaluation team decided upon. And so that's in your packet as well. So the first year cost for the AMI system with Alclara was about $1.16 million, with a net present value, 20-year net present value of about $1.61 million. As part of our analysis with the net present value, the infrastructure that we're using to collect all these meter reads, these collectors that are going to be around town, there's 3 of them, we're replacing them in year 10. So we're kind of being conservative on our cost. If they don't need to be replaced after year 10, then, you know, there's costs that we won't incur as part of the project. And again, with the AMR system, we were replacing the handhelds about every 5 to 6 years, which is pretty typical of what we're doing right now as well. So the cost difference was one of the things that we had discussed in previous meetings between an AMI and an AMR system. What is that cost difference between the two systems? And we're showing about $280,000 is the cost difference between an AMR system to an AMI system, obviously the AMI system being a higher cost. Since there are about 3,500 customers in the village, that equates to about a $3.96 per customer charge over that 20-year period per year for 20 years to go to an AMI system over an AMR system. That equates to just over about $1 per quarterly meter read as well. So that's the increase between an AMR system and an AMI system over that 20-year life cycle.
What was, I'm sorry, not in front of me, what was the regular increase, not present, just what is on paper, and then repeat the present value increase?
So the cost of the first year cost of the AMI system with the Alclara reed system is about $1.16 million, and the first year cost of the AMR is about $1.13. So it's about a $30,000 increase in that first year cost between the two systems, right? The bigger increase then is our annual fees, because we have these hosted fees with the AMI system. They just have a higher annual cost. So over the 20-year period then, that present value of the AMI system is about $1.61 million, and for the AMR system it's about $1.33 million.
So what's the difference in year 2, for instance,
I'd have to go back and take a look at that. I don't have that answer.
for the hosting is what you're talking about, right? It's just the hosting. You buy it in year 1, it's $30,000.
Right.
Year 2, the hosting is,
It's roughly about, I want to say it's about $14,000 or $15,000 per year.
okay, and compared to the other one.
Correct.
Okay, trustee one.
So we're projecting a cost for 20 years and the annual hosting fees. How certain are those? I mean, I know a lot can change in 2 decades. Is this something where it's a true projection, or is it something where we have some degree of certainty that these will be the costs and we can project that out?
So the Alclara system has been around for over 20 years now. Kind of is just going on their 20 year with the same system. And so they have had a couple of charges from, so their collectors, when they collect all the readings, they send it back through through cellular data. And so they've had a couple of updates to the cellular boards that are in those collectors, but they're a couple $1,000s for each collector. It's been pretty minimal. The 20-year costs are pretty, I won't say pretty well fleshed out. We do have some battery failures that will happen in usually around year 16, 17, we'll start to see some battery failures, so that some of the MIUs don't last the full 20 years. We do have that prorated replacement cost as well for those.
Okay.
And that's pretty much the same between an AMI and an AMR system. The AMR system, and all of the AMR systems that were, as part of the proposals, they're all migratable systems. They all use the exact same equipment, the same endpoints. The only thing that is different is that the AMI system has collectors that are stationed out in the village, where on the AMR system, we're driving around with a laptop, picking up all the reads.
So when we talked about this during the RFP, we specifically asked, what are the advantages? And you just said what are the advantages. You can collect the information without having to drive around. How much we had estimated, and maybe you guys did it better during your evaluation, but if we're paying $15,000 to $20,000 more in service fee for the higher grade AMI, how much was it in labor fee, hours that was if we went with the AMR? Like, what's the real cost difference? And then the main benefit, 'cause you said AMR, you could always convert at some point.
Correct.
So the main immediate benefit is that we can collect the data without having to utilize staff in the field.
Right.
So do you know the cost difference between those?
So in our 20-year analysis, we do have, so we've, the 20-year analysis was brought up to the point where we can bring a reading back into the billing system, between the two systems, okay? So that way we're comparing apples to apples. So to get a read back in the billing system, the 20-year net present value goes to that point. Then after that point, all these additional benefits that an AMI system brings as far as hourly readings that we can have, the increased customer service,
High usage, low usage.
automatic notices for high usage, low usage,
Charges, right? There's charges for that?
So there's not charges for that, no, that's all part of the system, part of the AMI system that was presented to us. We can have, we can have alerts that notify staff immediately when they come in the morning to say, we've got, potential leaks at these homes. We can contact them and get a letter out to them pretty quickly to let them know that they might have a potential leak in their home. So customer side leaks would happen. But the evaluation team wanted to look at just looking at what it is to get to a read. So we're actually comparing apples to apples, because with an AMR system, you're never going to be able to do those things with an AMR system. You could never get hourly reads from them. You can't do the proactive approach of notifying customers if they have a leak. You can't do any type of analysis between how much water we're purchasing on an hourly basis from Milwaukee and how much our customers are using. There's just none of those benefits. So to compare the two like that, it's apples to oranges comparison. So the evaluation team felt it was proper just to kind of go to this, getting a read in the door to the billing system. And so that's the staff, amount of time that staff takes now for AMR to do the AMR system is included in the 20-year net present value analysis.
Would be doing, it's a different collection than what we have right now, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
One thing that part of the evaluation that hit me is the ability to track our water loss quickly. And we've had a couple customers have major bills, and we have to reduce our water loss, which is just lost cost to the village to pay the Milwaukee Water Utility. And also, as they describe the system, it's not in here now, but can be added as we go. They put meters in various places within the system and to track within areas where the losses are and what's going on much. And also what hit me is, we're looking out 20 years with technology, like you don't own your 20-year-old phone. We're going to sit here for 20 years and not use this technology, this metering technology. So I think it's a little hard comparison. We will be moving forward. It's just you do it now or
Correct.
not do it.
Right, so that was part of our evaluation team that we took a look at with the AMR systems, was what system would be the easiest to put in now and then upgrade in the future, because for running an AMR system that is migratable but just using it as AMR for the next 20 years, in a community as progressive as Shorewood is, I just don't see that happening for the 20 years. At some point in time, if you did put it in AMR, you would be upgrading this in the future. And so there's additional costs for an upgrade, right? So you got to put all the infrastructure up. That's going to be more expensive than it is right now. And then there's gonna be a cost to reprogram those endpoints to, instead of talking to a laptop that's driving by, to talk to these collectors that are out in the system.
Which reminds me about the antennas. What was decided on the antennas for the AMI?
So the antennas, it's a fixed base network system, so we have 3 antennas that are on village-owned infrastructure, so buildings, I think, Steve, help me out on where we had projected those antennas.
Well, we had some different places to put them and some different options, so that wasn't fully decided, I don't think, where we were gonna do that.
But we had 3 were the max.
Right.
And beyond the rooftop with a cellular backhaul system. So it would be an RF system that would send the readings from each meter to the collectors, and then from the collectors to our AMI server would be all cellular.
Trustee Hunter?
So the transmittal from someone's water meter, like what kind of is that a radio wave or a cellular connection, or what kind of connection is
Yeah, it's
that?
a radio wave. So it's RF signal, so much like, your radio or your telephone, similar type of RF technology, and it's a line of sight. So the Alclara system, one of the things that we liked about the Alclara system and the Corner Main system was the fact that it was on a licensed frequency. So if there was anybody that was, let's say, also broadcasting on that channel, that we could get them removed from the channel. We'll have an FCC license for that frequency. And in Alclara's case, it's a low frequency. It's in the 400 to 450 range, megahertz range, where the Alclara is more in the 900 range that you might see more for, like, well, nobody has them anymore, but landlines that have, a wireless, cordless phone, or more than 900 megahertz. So we like the lower frequency because it also travels a little better through construction materials, so like a concrete wall or home construction. There's all these endpoints we want to have located in the floor joists.
So the radio wave, as opposed to being like a cordless phone, you're saying it would be more like a radio wave, like on a radio?
Not like a microwave.
Like a radio,
Right,
like you
right,
guys,
correct.
like you guys are calling to each other on that kind of a radio, or like a radio I turn on the radio? I mean, the reason I ask is because there are, not me personally, but
Right.
there are people in Shorewood who are very concerned about the types of radio waves and
Correct.
5G, and, people
Right.
get kind of, I personally don't, but there are people who get freaked out. So I just want to be able to explain to people what type of radio wave it is, and that we're
Just
not,
like a
that we're
radio.
not putting something on there that's potentially endangered,
Right. Just like a radio.
just like a regular.
So
FM
yes,
radio.
so if I could, so it's a short burst a few times a day from each radio. So it's not a constant, like you turn on the radio and it's broadcasting all the time. That's not the way they work. It's just a few times a day for a very short period of time. It transmits its reading and alert information back to that gateway. So that's
So
what that might be.
the endpoint will collect hourly readings, and then every 4 hours it takes a bucket of hourly readings and it sends it out to these collectors. So really 6 times a day is what we're getting a broadcast from this endpoint. Some of the other systems that we didn't have rated as high because of this, they were on every 15 seconds. It was called bubble-up technology, where they were always broadcasting. So this was nice that it's only on for 6 times a day, and we're talking nanoseconds where that broadcast goes out.
I
It
mean, that,
is,
we're definitely.
And then trustee
that
Hunter?
might- That might be something on our communication about this to include.
Definitely.
yeah, that is definitely going to be an issue, there's no doubt about it. And so, addressing that up front before we get out there and start to do install work is
Trustee Kirby?
high priority.
I don't know if you'll know the answer to this, or if it might be for Leanne, but the difference in payroll savings between the AMR and the AMI systems, do you have any idea what that will end up being?
We presented that, and I don't have that in front of me, we presented that to the board a while ago. Do you remember that? The difference, the labor savings, kind of between the two
So you
systems.
don't have to go out and read meters.
Well, you're still rolling all that into your differential on a 20-year, so,
That's the-
I mean,
Right, it's in there, I don't have that spelled out with that exact labor.
No, it's no different than house, right?
We do.
Well, either you continue with an AMR system which has those costs, which is part of those 20-year value in it, or you do a different system where those costs aren't present, but you do have some licensing and technology costs with it. So the differential is still valid because there are no labor costs in the EMI module for meter reading.
Yeah, no, I recognize that. I'm just trying to understand, I think that there's definitely real value in the AMI system, and I'm just trying to understand, how much of the savings will that present without needing the collection of that data. So that's, I understand that, but, it won't be necessary, so I'm just trying to understand.
So there is some labor savings by not driving around and doing this. The issue, though, I think is, that's not the only thing that's out there as well. And it's tough to just say, well, you're gonna save on this, and that's good. You're gonna be able to pay for the difference in the cost. It's.
No, I definitely agree.
If I could, maybe just a different way to look at it perhaps is, just to provide some context. Roughly speaking, it's 2 of our utility staff, about 2 weeks each, 4 times a year. But recognizing that while we wouldn't be utilizing those staff to read the meters, we would save those hours to be able to apply them to most likely utility infrastructure, deferred maintenance. So it wouldn't be a pure cost savings in that, now we just don't pay someone for, 8 weeks out of the year. Instead, those hours would be allocated to different tasks.
Staff time was estimated at 32,000 for the meter reading, 160 hours for the year.
And then it is
Yearly,
calculated as the savings. If I could just go with
Cost.
what Trustee Carpenter is asking, it's really hard for some board members, we did this with garbage, where you project, that the cost isn't going to be that much different on a 20-year period because you're utilizing savings from staff time, but then the savings from staff time are never realized in dollar amounts. And so, in general, if I'm looking at this and I'm understanding it similar to the garbage proposal, it is an increase of money for a better service is all. It's not, we don't really know that true cost because you'd have to put back in that salary because they're still going to be doing other stuff.
Right.
So it's not a savings. So the difference might be a little more, but basically what you're selling us on is it's a better service.
Correct.
Not a cost savings, it's
Correct.
we can do more with it. And then my only other question was, the antennas, you said they were like radio. I'm not familiar with all the different logo. It's not a microwave radio frequency, correct?
No.
That's the 5G, or whatever everyone's really worried about. The microwave frequencies that are short and it's not that frequency.
So I'm sorry, I can't answer that.
And the reason I ask is that's the one that we've been briefed at the ICC on that's very dangerous and cancer causing, and so they're coming up with studies, but it has to do with 5G, and so I just want to make sure it's not that one.
No, so the other things that operate around the 400, 500 frequency range are like your garage door openers. So it's very similar to that. It's a very, low frequency radio frequency, so it's not microwave. The other thing that I'd say is when we're kind of talking about labor savings or cost savings, the one thing that the AMI system will be able to do to give us an advantage to try to reduce our non-revenue water is we're now going to be able to take an hourly reading anytime during the day. Middle of the night is usually when we have our lowest flow rate. Look at what our purchased water is coming in from Milwaukee and then compare it to what our homeowners are using at that particular point in time.
6 times a day, right? Because you don't collect it.
Every hour a day. Every hour a day. Because we'll get, the readings that happen every 6 hours, but they're hourly readings. So every, time it sends, it's not just sending one reading, it's sending
Right.
a whole bunch of hourly readings.
6 hours later.
Every,
Right.
Right,
pricing that.
yeah, we won't be able to do it live, real time, we'd be a day behind. But we'd be able then to see what are we buying and what our customers are using, and that difference is generally gonna be our non-revenue water. We then can go out and be very proactive and be going, well, it looks like we got a leak here, or,
Can you quantify how much that is? I mean, we're paying extra, but what do we, and I get we're saving water, any water is good water to save.
sure.
How much?
So for about every 1% of non-revenue water we save, it's gonna be about $5,000 annually. So,
For from our water purchase?
correct,
So we'll see savings in our water purchase.
correct. You'll see a lower cost in your purchased water if we can identify some of these leaks that aren't surfacing, but, you know, we're gonna have to spend money to go out there and fix them, so it's not a, I
And that
mean,
should show up in your budget document, correct, if we put the AMI? For one of you.
it's gonna take a few years for that to take effect, okay? But, we'll be able to see that happen, much sooner than we do now.
How much leakage do we have? I know you can't quantify because we don't know, right?
Right, so last year, Dave, helped me out here, I think we were somewhere around 10-11% on our non-revenue water. With an AMI system, you definitely should be able to get down to around 7%.
So 3% savings, 2 to 3%,
Right.
so 10,000. You said
If
5,000.
it's 5,000, yeah, for every 1% that you go down, so it's, you know, 10, 15,000.
And that's how much we'd be paying extra for the.
Correct.
So it's more environmentally friendly, but cost
And-
savings is not.
And we know that, you know, our water rates aren't gonna go down, so that, you know, is just gonna keep increasing in the future. So again, you know, if we can be very proactive on trying to minimize our non-revenue water, we're always gonna have some. We can't get it down to zero because we have flushing that we have to do, we have water quality, you know, things that we have to do. We're always gonna have some non-revenue water in our system, but if we can get it down below 7%, we are one of the top utilities in the state then.
And do we have enough staff, Leanne, up to man every 6 hours reading these and coming up with leakage?
Well, it's not something that we would necessarily have someone at a desk constantly monitoring. There are dashboard systems and software that come with the system that would, we could set some parameters at the beginning of the installation, and it would tailor daily, weekly, monthly, however we choose, reports that would give us the information specifically that we're asking for and looking for and we think would be most beneficial to us. So I don't anticipate this being a significant investment of staff's time to monitor the system. As I understand it, all those things can be tailored to what we would specifically want to know.
And I do remember you saying that they're in the RFP. The only reason I ask is the benefit of having that real time every 6 hours is if you monitor it, you can catch the leak early and you can try to get your percentage of leakage down. But if you don't have the manpower to do that, you tailor it to every week, that you look at the spreadsheets every 2 days or 3 days, then I don't know how much we're going to achieve.
So the system itself will do the analysis, and there'll be a report on the dashboard in the morning for someone to click on, and we can actually see what that is. And so monitoring this is probably 10 minutes a day at the most, and we're monitoring it for the previous day. So I mean, it's much more high-tech than what we have today, that's for sure. Because right now, it's every quarter, every 90 days is when we're doing it. We're not actually looking the same start time to the same finish time. We're kind of looking, you know, we've got days that overlap each other and we're close, but this would be a definite improvement.
Anybody have any other questions? Otherwise, or any other comments? I just want to say that I'm going to be voting no for the AMI system at this point in time. We're just heading into budget and we're really constrained for funding this year. And as long as I don't see any cost savings happening in the immediate future, beyond environmental potentially savings, but once we know a little more and once maybe cost savings present themselves with other technology, we could always convert. So that I would be voting no for that reason today. Does anyone else have anything?
I would make a motion to approve the selection of Midwest meter proposal to include Badger meters with an Aclara AMI system for the Shorewood Utilities meter reading project. I authorize staff to begin negotiations with Midwest Meter to develop a contract document for consideration at the October 21st, 2019 meeting in Shorewood Village Board.
Okay, second. Okay, so we have a motion by trustee Maher, a second by trustee Bachhorst. Any further discussion? You got that? Okay, seeing none, all those in, is it not? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries 6-1. Thank you so much for your time. All right, so our next item on our docket is special order business 4D, an update on DPW forestry operations 2020 planning plan.
Last one for the evening, promise. So I have tonight also Ben Honick, our DPW services foreman, horticulturalist, and ISA certified arborist, is here tonight. So I'm just going to kind of very broadly introduce this. Ben is,
Did this get me?
no, okay, sorry. So you recall, and let me back up a half step. The purpose of presenting this to you tonight is to give you a bit of context for your operating budget deliberations, which we started tonight. And in fact, the tree budget came up tonight, so that's kind of what this is about. You recall that we did not include a line item allocation for replanting of trees in 2019. That was done for a couple of reasons. Some of it was budget related, but also it gave our department some time with a lot of staff turnover that we had to really evaluate and review our forestry operations and try to get them better in line with some best management industry practices and really make sure that we were utilizing our time and our resources as effectively as we could.
And did we already conduct that study we approved for the EPA program?
That is in progress. It was my hope to present that to you tonight, but it's not quite there. So one of the things, we've done a couple of things, and primarily reordering some of the tasks that we do on a regular basis. As you probably know, forestry is very seasonal. I've heard some of our previous forestry employees refer to themselves as tree farmers because like agricultural farmers, everything that we do is seasonal. It's in response to changing weather patterns. So we've kind of changed up the order in which some of we do things, specifically that being the emerald ash treatments, moving those into early spring when it is more efficient because the trees at that time of year are more likely to take the chemical up and they're far more effective. Ben has been working very hard to try and develop a different approach to how we plant trees, both in terms of being able to utilize our time as effectively as possible, but also looking for opportunities to really decrease our planting costs. And the answer to both of those appears to be moving to a bare root tree stock. Right now,